The Young and the Restless Spoilers Shock. The tension between Sharon and Mariah had reached an unbearable peak. What once had been a strained but salvageable relationship between mother and daughter had now become a battlefield of psychological manipulation and fear. Sharon was no longer the loving mother Mariah had known. She had become a pawn in Cameron's sinister game, a game that had twisted her mind and led her down a path of destruction. Cameron Kirsten, a man who thrived on chaos and manipulation, had taken full control of Sharon's fragile mental state. He saw Mariah as a threat, someone who could break his hold over Sharon, and he wanted her eliminated. His instructions were clear: Sharon needed to remove Mariah from the equation, no matter the cost. Sharon, already spiraling under Cameron's influence, had started to see Mariah not as her daughter, but as an obstacle standing in the way of her own survival. The motherly instincts that had once driven Sharon to protect her children had been warped beyond recognition. Now, she believed that harming Mariah was not only necessary but justified. It was Cameron's voice in her head, whispering dark thoughts, telling her that Mariah was a danger, that Mariah would destroy everything unless Sharon acted first. Mariah had sensed for weeks that something was wrong. Her mother had become increasingly distant, her behavior erratic. Sharon's once caring demeanor had turned cold, even hostile at times. Mariah, ever the compassionate daughter, had tried to reach out to her mother, hoping to understand what was happening, hoping to bring her back from whatever darkness had consumed her. But each attempt to connect was met with resistance or outright aggression. Mariah could see the fear in Sharon's eyes, the same fear that had led her mother to make irrational decisions in the past. But this time, it was different. There was something darker, more dangerous, about Sharon now. Cameron's influence had taken hold, and Mariah was beginning to fear for her own safety. The love and concern she had for her mother were being overshadowed by the creeping realization that Sharon might actually hurt her. One evening, as Mariah sat in the living room, trying to figure out how to help her mother, Sharon stormed in. Her eyes were wild, her movements sharp and erratic. Mariah could immediately sense the tension in the air. Something was about to happen. "Mom?" Mariah called out cautiously, standing up from the couch. "What's going on? Talk to me, please." Sharon's eyes locked onto Mariah, but they were not the eyes of the mother who had raised her. These were the eyes of a woman consumed by paranoia and madness. "You think you can control me?" Sharon hissed, her voice laced with venom. "You think you can keep me from doing what needs to be done?" Mariah stepped back, her heart racing. "What are you talking about? Mom, this isn't you. Cameron, he's controlling you. Please, let me help you." But Sharon wasn't listening. Cameron's voice in her head was too loud, too overpowering. "You're the problem, Mariah." Sharon screamed, advancing toward her daughter. "You're the one who's been trying to turn everyone against me. Cameron warned me about you. He told me you'd betray me." Mariah's stomach twisted in fear. "No, Mom, I would never betray you. I love you. I just want to help." "Help?" Sharon scoffed, a cruel smile spreading across her face. "You think I need your help? No, Mariah. You're the one who needs help. You've always been the problem. And now, I have to stop you." Mariah's breath caught in her throat as Sharon lunged forward, her hands raised in a violent gesture. It was clear that her mother was no longer in control of her own actions. Cameron had pushed her to this breaking point, and now Sharon believed that the only way to regain control of her life was to destroy the one person who had always stood by her. In that moment, Mariah knew she had to act fast. She couldn't allow her mother to hurt her, but she also couldn't hurt Sharon. As Sharon's hands reached for her, Mariah ducked out of the way, her heart pounding in her chest. "Mom, stop. This isn't you. Cameron is manipulating you. You don't have to do this." But Sharon wasn't stopping. She was in full attack mode, fueled by the delusion that Mariah was the enemy. The living room became a battlefield, with Mariah dodging her mother's wild strikes, trying desperately to get through to her. "Get away from me!" Sharon screamed, her voice filled with rage. "You're trying to ruin everything. Cameron said you'd do this. Cameron is lying to you." Mariah shouted back, her voice filled with desperation. "He's using you, Mom. He's making you do things you'd never do. Please, you have to see that." For a brief moment, Sharon hesitated. Her wild eyes flickered with something, recognition, perhaps, but it was quickly drowned out by the madness that had taken hold of her.